You played Suicide Squad?
Nope. I'm so disappointed by that game. Everything I've seen on it, like, I was super excited for Rocksteady to have their next big title, right? Like,
Yeah,
Batman, the Arkham games were amazing. Some of my favorite games. This
yeah.
game looks like hot garbage.
Uh, I think I was watching. I think it was Asmongold. Gold. I think that's how you say his name. He was watching a comparison video someone did on Arkham Knight compared to Suicide Squad, the Harley levels
Mm-hmm.
side by side, and that was like 9 years ago, and it's 20 times better.
Yeah, it's
There's
crazy, right?
a lot of
And,
weird controversy for stupid reasons.
well, the thing I think the big failing point for Suicide Squad is that they've been trying to put too many things together at once. So like they're trying to make it a live service game, but they're trying to appeal to the original audience of the Arkham stuff. And like it just doesn't meld because you can't have that kind of experience and story while pushing like microtransactions on people all the time. Like, oh, you can get this costume, you can get this, you can get that, you know?
Am I the only one out there that thinks Suicide Squad sucks? Who
Like
the
in
hell
general or
wants to be Shark Boy or whatever the hell that is?
King
And like,
Shark?
and what's the other guy? Like,
Boomerang?
guy with the gun, not Deadshot, but there's another guy,
No,
Rick Flag or some boring
there's Boomerang. He has a
vanilla
boomerang. He's a
garbage.
Flash villain. There's Harley Quinn. Maybe Harley Quinn?
Sometimes, sometimes.
King Shark's cool. I don't know, like the idea of the Suicide Squad. Like I liked the James Gunn movie. I didn't like the first one that had Will Smith in it.
Well, who likes anything that guy's in? Not
I remember
me.
him being good in The Men in Black.
Yeah, I mean, he's a off the hinge dude now, but that's neither here nor there, I guess. Yeah, I mean, everyone. Hey, what's going on, everyone? We're gonna get to the intro. We're gonna get to Electronic Gaming Monthly. Will and I just start talking about this stuff, and on my YouTube feed, for whatever reason, it's Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad. I didn't know much about it. Didn't know it was Rocksteady, so I'm like, okay, now I have to check it out. I didn't buy it, just like check out videos. And yeah, I was really turned off by the multiplayer aspect of it, which
Mm-hmm.
I get because there's like 6 or 7 of them or whatever. But yeah, the graphics, and there seems to be like this weird, once again, inserted political agenda, or people are picking it apart. I don't know which one it is. But.
I haven't seen a lot of that stuff, but I think politics are like a really touchy subject nowadays. But I think a lot of people that are coming into the media now are kind of realizing, like, yeah, like comic books and like comics have always had kind of a political like pull or like standing on certain things, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's not new. Like it's not.
it's
It's always been around. Like comic book characters, like what they talk about and stances on like racism and stuff. Like they make it pretty clear cut. Like this is no.
it's one scene in particular where the Suicide Squad is frozen. I don't know why, but Harley is not, and she sees, I think, whoever's butt, whatever bad guy's butt, and she's like, I shouldn't do it, but I can't help myself, and then she grabs it, and everyone's like freaking out, saying, yeah, well, I'm not gonna say what they're saying, but it's just like,
Yeah, but that's something Harley Quinn would do.
I know that's like, who cares? Just it's a friggin' comic book movie.
Has no one like seen Harley Quinn before? Like are these people new to the whole thing? Like that she's a crazy character who can't control herself and does just
her
whatever she
urges?
thinks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And she did it to the Joker. Like, what else do you need to know? It's like, I find any of these people love to see things fail, and they love to see it fail hard.
Mhm.
And I'm not sticking up for the game or the IP. I'm just saying this seems to be the latest incident where you're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep going.
It seems to be the latest incident where something comes out and people, it's like before they even want to give it a chance or take a look at it, they're already looking for things to pick on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, 100%. Negativity goes spreads faster than any positive take you would have on things nowadays. Just negativity sells.
It's dumb. It's all
And
dumb.
everybody you can't really take full face value of what somebody's saying because most of the time we'll take Osmond Gold for example. He'll put a thumbnail up on a YouTube video and he'll be like, "This game sucks." And it's cool. And then you watch a video and it's he doesn't really think it sucks. He just thinks it has issues.
Well,
But
that's clickbait, yeah.
yeah, but that's the thing. Somebody will click on that because it has a direct negative take more than, "Oh, I love this game.
Yeah.
And here's why." No one people will more likely click on something that says, I don't know, we'll just say Diablo 4 sucks, for example. And then they'll be like, "Oh, I'll watch that."
Yeah, I mean, drama sells, right?
Yeah. So next issue of EGM, we're just going to say this EGM issue sucks. Find out why. There we go. See?
Well, we don't have to open it. It sucks. There you go. That's it. It sucks. Contra, super Contra. Who cares? Cutthroat. Mo is here. Speaking moistly. Matt Rubin. He's doing good. Hopefully you're feeling better, buddy. Speaking moistly is here. TJC. Good to see you guys. We'll do the intro real quick. Then we're going to get into EGM number 10. Grab your coffee. Thank you, David.
Morning, Dave.
Speaking moistly says, Willie, Pal World does not suck. It's fun.
Who said Pal World sucks?
I don't know. I'm just saying. Speaking moistly said, Pal World does not suck. Then he says everything sucks. I think he's being funny.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I have almost 100 hours into Pal World.
Oh my god! Hard cut.
I'm catching and breeding pals left, right, and center. That's what I do.
You are a crafting game fiend. Now that I am addicted to Steam, thanks to Will, I see him every 2 seconds. Boop, Valheim. Boop, Craft World. Boop, Zombie Craft Game. Boop, Pokemon Craft Game. Boop, 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 boop.
It's true.
JT with the $10 super chat. Thank you, my friend. Good morning. Best day of the week right here. JT, I know, is a big fan when we read EGMs.
Woo!
So glad we can bring it back. I feel like as much as people love Christmas, I feel like it's really disrupts things on the streaming end for us at least. But we're back. We're back doing some EGMs. All right. Eating a coffee ground sandwich. Yeah, because he's addicted to coffee. That's actually a fun video on the Foo Fighters site. Dave had to go to the hospital because of chest pains. He thought he was dying, but it was just that he was drinking 4 or 5 pots of coffee a day. So this is a joke how he had to get off the bean. It's pretty funny.
You're not supposed to do that?
Oh. Share screen. Yes. Window. Boom. Ready?
I think so. Phantasy Star 2 Mega Maps. Ooh.
My friend, you guys know my good pal, WillyLo. We are here to take you through, I think, 1991. Maybe still 1990, but we're up to issue 10 on the world's greatest video game magazine, which is called Electronic Gaming Monthly. And Will, look at this cover. Super Contra.
Sweet cover. Super C.
Yeah, they used to just do screenshots. I loved it. It was perfect. Did you ever
Yeah, it
play
looks great.
Super C?
I did. Yep.
I would say just as good as the original. I think it's a really solid game.
Yeah, it's just more of Contra. That's how I kind
Yeah.
of felt with it. And it's not a bad thing. At the time growing up, like that's all we wanted, right? Nowadays I think we have a higher expectation, be like, oh, the sequel needs to add stuff and be more,
It
but
needs to be better. Yeah.
yeah, but now like back then we're just like, yeah, that's fine. Man, this is great. More Contra. I'm in. Grab a controller. Let's shoot stuff.
And the code works. The Contra code works.
Mm-hmm.
All right, everyone, grab your coffee. Let's open this bad boy up. And the smell. I love the smell of old books, old magazines. I love it.
Is your nose ever gonna fix itself?
My nose?
Your nose.
Oh no, it's like a super sinus infection, dude. It's rough. There's that game right there. I want it.
Yeah, we already confirmed that didn't come out.
I know. That's why I want it. All right, what do we got here? Our table of contents, we're going to get to all this. So we're not going to spend too much time. Lolo 2, HAL America, no one gives a lips. This is where Will says, I liked Lolo. I liked the first one.
Yeah, I've already stated that. I was a fan of the first Lolo game. I thought it was fun.
Steve Harris, our editor. Video game in the 90s. Welcome to the biggest and best issue of Electronic Gaming Monthly ever. Beginning with this edition, we plan to not only provide you with the most up-to-date info on the new games, tips, and developments within the industry, but we've also increased the total number of pages to supply you with adequate coverage of the latest systems and games software that will appear in the months to come.
See, this is why we have to do this episode regularly again. It helps us learn to read.
Well, if you guys remember last time.
The last time we did this was before Christmas, wasn't it?
Yeah, we couldn't read so well. It was bad. But that issue, there was also a lot of weird mistakes.
Yeah, it's almost like they rushed it for the holidays.
Yeah. And then on top of that, we were like, yeah, terrible. Yes. We're still
Ninja
1990.
Gaiden.
Here you go. Available June 1990. Yeah, Ninja Gaiden 2, The Dark Sword of Chaos. The only one out of these three that I ever did finish. It's the easiest.
Really?
It's the easiest by far, for sure. Yeah. You beat any of these? You beat the first one?
I beat the first one. And then I didn't pick up the series again until probably the Xbox.
Which was
when
also
they did
fantastic.
Yeah, those games were good. And I beat 1 and 2 on the Xbox. And then there's a third one, I think.
The Ancient Ship of Doom is the third one.
It was not very good, I heard, so I didn't play it.
Yeah, this one was great. This took the cinematic storytelling experience to another level. I loved it. The power-ups were better. Of course, they had more time to develop it. They flushed it out, flushed the gameplay out a bit more. Still better than the arcade. The arcade Ninja Gaiden, I don't think is a very, very good one.
That's fair.
A little rough. All right. Now we're going to see if our reading skills are up to the level of a public grade student. Hopefully they will be. I can't make any promises.
No, I guarantee they're not going to be.
Will, you want to pick one? Hey, Ghetto. Good morning, buddy. How you doing? Good to see you.
Morning, Ghetto. Well, okay. Super Mario 3 supplements caught my eye, and I don't know what it is, so I'm curious now. Keep my reading voice out.
Good luck. I
have an important question for your magazine. Is it possible to print a guide that contains all the warps and tricks to Nintendo's new Super Mario Bros. 3 game? I found the first warp, but I would like to know about all the other secrets, including the possibilities of warps straight to the end of the game. Ed wrote back, no problem, TJ. You'll find a very special EGM mini-mag in this issue containing all the tricks you could ever want for this blockbuster cart, as well as a brief history of Super Mario and its developers.
Our very own TJC wrote this way back in 1990. So that's really cool.
Good question coming in from TJC. Thank you very much for your letter.
Bat Stan is here. Good morning.
Morning, Bat Stan.
Tell it like it is. I'm writing to tell you that EGM is an unbelievable, awesome magazine with the most unbiased game reviews around. I've just read issue 6, and I was happy to see that you guys were the first to do a feature story on the eagerly anticipated Batman video game for the NES. While my favorite department is gaming gossip, I always look forward to reading about the newest games in EGM first. It's interesting. So I read issue 6. So they're publishing this letter. He read issue 6. This is 10. So at least 5 months have passed. Isn't that crazy how quick we get messages and information now?
Oh, yeah.
Back then, this guy would have pen and paper, wrote this, sent it in, and then 4 months later, it's in the magazine. If it made it.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
So crazy. Thank you for the generous comments, David. We always try our best to bring you the new and bring you new info on the hottest games, and Batman deserves a Game of the Month status as far as reviews go. We figure if a gaming magazine can't form an honest opinion of new software, independent from advertising or influences, then it has no business reviewing games. Sponsored by Nintendo. Not bad. Not bad.
Not bad. We did it.
We're doing positive so far. Very positive. Let's keep her going.
Are we reading another one here?
Yep. This and the reviews, I think, are the best. The best.
When Shinobi isn't Shinobi. I own a Genesis, and I love it for the arcade games it plays. I especially like Golden Axe, Ghouls and Ghosts, and Forgotten Worlds. My favorite coin-op is Shadow Dancer by Sega. I was wondering if Shadow Dancer is coming to Genesis, or is Revenge of Shinobi simply Shadow Dancer without the dog? That's not the response. Never mind.
Yeah, hang on. So add.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Ed replies, Shadow Dancer does look very similar to Revenge of Shinobi, and for good reason. The game was developed as the sequel to the original arcade Ninja Master on the same type of graphics hardware utilized by the Genesis. While the games are very similar, Shadow Dancer added an attack dog which follows Shinobi's movements. The dog can be summoned to fight enemies during battle. Will we see this game on the Genesis? Sega won't say for sure, but since it wouldn't be too hard to port over from the arcades, like Super Monaco GP and eSWAT, which were also on System 6, there we go, 16B, we'd say the odds are good.
And Will and I could see into the future. Whoever you are.
Crystal ball?
Whoever this guy is. And yeah, Shadow Dancer's coming out for it. Stay tuned
Ta-da!
for that. We need to turn up my subwoofer to get that rich WillyLo bass.
Do you want me to go higher or lower? I can go lower. You want?
Bass is low, so no,
Yeah.
I think he's complimenting you on your beautiful radio voice.
I can go lower. You want me to read them all like this? Why did I put an accent on it?
We're going to continue with the letters, but listen, one of my favorites finally has got an advertisement. Until now, you needed a computer to play an adventure game as advanced as Phantasy Star 2.
Do you?
You did.
Did you?
Now you don't. Look
It looks
how awesome the Genesis ads were. This is a dual page ad.
It's pretty good.
It looks. What? You're gonna say it looks dumb, weren't you?
No. It looks good. I like it. I like just having all the screens and it's just like throwing stuff at you.
Be like that lady and sit on the speaker when Howard Stern talks. Oh my god.
Oh, I forgot about that movie.
Yeah.
I like that scene when I was growing up watching that one.
Oh. Yeah, this is a beautiful spread. Sega knew exactly what they're doing. Remember the Telegenesis modem? Power base
Actually, I don't.
converter?
I do
Yeah.
remember the power base converter. I don't remember the modem though.
Yeah, and then they showcased their first party games down here. Just beautiful. I love this ad. I had this in my bedroom back in the day, ripped out of video game and computer and entertainment because that magazine was on the bottom of the totem pole of the four that I read. So that was what I called the poster book.
Mm.
Genesis versus the TurboGrafx. Take one. Oh boy. Here we go. The console wars have begun.
Dun, dun, dun.
I recently got your new number 8 issue, which compared the Genesis to the Turbo. I would just like to say that I'm utterly disgusted. Why on earth would your editors waste so much space on a system as inferior as the TurboGrafx? You said Genesis was the best, so let's see more Sega and less Turbo. Mark Bozo.
Sounds like a bozo.
Oh, we're going to get just hit by a bunch of people, and then I think Steve will reply.
Okay. You want me to read the next one then?
This is good. Yeah.
I completely agree with you. No, wait. I completely agree with your cover story in issue 8. While the Turbo had a chance in the beginning, NEC blew it by not coming out with any good games from Japan. Now the Genesis is eating them alive. With fantastic graphics, sounds, and play in games like, oh, that's a weird way to say that. Revenge of Shinobi, Ghouls and Ghosts, and Golden Axe. Cash it in, Turbo. You may have Japan, but you've lost America.
Oh my God. Gordon. Easy, Gordy. All right. Well, that's 2 against the Turbo.
Holy shit. Easy. I just noticed we have take 1, take 2, and take 3, all of the same conversation.
Okay, so I'm guessing take 2 is for the Turbo, and then take 3 is whatever. Let's find out. I entered the next generation of video games by purchasing the TurboGrafx 16 with all the software available. Well, aren't you rich? After playing the games for several weeks, I was tired of them all. The Genesis appeared with Ghouls and Ghosts and Space Harrier 2, and I knew I could do only one thing. I traded in my Turbo for a Genesis.
Genesis? Easy, Genesis.
Part of my humor. Okay, Turbo Hater magazine.
I feel like they've been pretty. So I don't understand. Like we've gone through all the previous editions to this, and I feel like they've been pretty positive about the Turbo. So I don't know why somebody would have the take that they're being very negative on it.
Yeah, these are just people writing in, but you'd think they'd be Turbo fans. Okay, let's go. You're up. Yeah. Let's do take 2.
Why is everybody making a fuss over the Genesis? Sorry, the Genesis.
The Genesis.
Everybody loves it, and I don't know why. The TurboGrafx has a CD-ROM, which gives the system even better graphics.
Oh my God.
But you never hear anything about it. It's a superb machine. I own a Nintendo, Sega, Genesis, and Turbo, and so far the TurboGrafx has proven itself worthy to me. People always say one machine is better than the other, but remember, nothing is forever.
Well, Dan, you're rich, so you can buy them all. So that's
you want to send Dan Adams. If you want to send us a check about with all your Richie gaming money there, you want to share the love, we can figure it out ourselves too.
Dan went on to start Amazon. Well, I want to address Dan here. Super Machine. I own a Nintendo Sega. Why is everyone hating the Turbo? Well, first of all, you can only get the Turbo in like 2 stores in the United States.
Yeah, it was marketed so poorly.
The marketing was terrible. That's what I think is the main downfall of that console. And yes, I'm still sick. I apologize, guys.
Genesis.
Is the TurboGrafx 16 such a bad unit that you constantly degrade it? Didn't the PC engine burn whole cities down with excitement in Japan? Easy. Don't you know that NEC is intelligent, and the minute that the Genesis and other 16-bit systems start slowing on games, NEC will be flooding the market with all kinds of games. It's like a 9-year-old.
Sheesh.
NEC has a long way to go to the poorhouse. Look, this guy's convincing himself that the money he's invested in this system that he knows is doomed to fail. No, because they're going to have better games. They make better games, and they're going to make games longer. You just watch and see, says Michael Gary. Hail the TurboGrafx 16 Super system. Oh, he added the Super in there. Good job, Michael Gary.
Oh my god. Was I the only one that studied up on reading over the holidays, or
What the hell's reading?
reading?
What the hell is reading?
We got Chris Tojak coming in from Westchester. Is that No, where's that?
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania? Okay. I really like your magazine, but it seems like you prefer the Genesis over the Turbo. Just because it uses a 68,000 processor instead of a 6502. Freaking nerd. I think the Turbo has brighter, sometimes better graphics and more diversity in games. Did you want to add more to that, Chris?
That like he spent 3 cents on a stamp for that, 1 cent on the paper. Turbo has brighter, sometimes better graphics. See, he's not even convinced of it.
You're just lying to yourself, Chris Tojak.
All right, here's next. We got Michael Schwartz. Okay. I just finished issue 8, and the article on Genesis versus Turbo was the most interesting. I already own both systems, so I don't have to agonize over a decision. Well, Mr. Michael Schwartz, aren't you lucky? If for some reason I had to get rid of one of them or the other, I think that I would get rid of both because they're so good.
What? How does that even make sense?
I hate to have to live without one or the... Okay. Or the other. It might be cut off on mine because I have the PDF.
It carries up to the top, I think.
I would hate to have to live without one or the... Even though the Turbo is not a true 60-bit, it sure acts like one in graphics, sound, and gameplay. That's what players are looking for.
I think Jay's cold's getting to him.
Yeah.
Go a little Gamix.
Gary O'Neill keeps going on.
Oh my god. Okay, Gary, this better be worth my time. After reading your comparison of the Turbo and Genesis, I felt compelled to send in my 2 cents worth. This is like a whole loony's worth, you freaking nut. I own both systems and have some observations of my own. First of all, both systems are excellent. Each paints super graphics and lush backgrounds. It's hard to say one is better than the other, but the Genesis barely beats the Turbo, although the Turbo holds up well for a machine that's a few years old. In terms of music and backgrounds, I think both machines are evenly matched. Add the CD-ROM to the Turbo and the clear winner is obvious. I just want to stay here. He kind of contradicts himself here because he literally said the Genesis barely beats out the Turbo, but then in the next statement he said adding in the CD-ROM, the Turbo is the clear winner, which is obvious. You can't say that in the same sentence.
Well, it's edging the winner because it's got a CD-ROM now, right? So it's better than a cartridge.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a tie again in the library of games. If NEC would get the let out and port over more PC Engine games, they would have an advantage. Sega, however, has an arsenal of games planned that must be reckoned with. In the important category of game playability, a category EGM did not include. The Turbo is, in my opinion, the clear winner. The TurboPad offers pinpoint control and accuracy. You actually feel as if you're part of the game, living the adventure. The Genesis controller, however, handles like a car with no tires. I would agree with that. I do not like that Genesis controller. It's always so big and clunky and not fun to use.
That's what she said.
Trigger response is mushy and imprecise, and the directional pad is inaccurate and unsure. The lack of built-in turbos like those of the turbo pads demonstrates poor thought in the part of Sega's designers. The turbo games also possess a quality that just makes them more fun to play. Which machine is better? Both are incredible and play fantastic games. Before buying, I suggest people read and find out which systems play which games and choose accordingly. Either way, you won't be disappointed. Okay, that's like all my reading quota.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Stanley says, I meant read or write some of these letters. Time will tell. Both classic. Agreed. Yeah, I don't think that Genesis controllers held up.
They're not good. The 3-button or the 6-button controller, like they're not good to hold. They don't feel good. The buttons feel always so stiff to me. They're just
Yeah, I compare it to the Duke, the first Xbox controller, which was horrible. Kind of like that. It's too clunky. The 6-button I don't mind, but excuse me. Codename Viper. Oops, I clicked off. I'm bad. Oh, here we go. Here we go. It's everyone's favorite section, the review crew. With Steve, the editor, Ed, the hater, Martin, and Jim. I feel like they're not rookies anymore.
No, they've been here for at least three. I want to say episodes, but 3 magazines at this point, right? I feel like it's good. It's good.
Super Contra. For those of you who remember, for those of you who still play it, that's awesome. For those of you who remember, this is the first sequel, the NES sequel to Contra. It was also an arcade game. I did not know this at the time. I thought Contra was Nintendo game only. Pretty sweet. The eagerly anticipated sequel to the original Contra game has finally arrived. Super C continues the adventures of the dynamic duo. What is it? Lance and Lance? Lance and... Is it Billy? I think it's Billy and Lance. I don't know. Whatever.
I don't remember, honestly.
This time out, our heroes must contend with much more than the fanatical terrorist organization. Now alien forces have joined in, and you must contend. Well, there's aliens in the first one. Come on.
Yeah, near the end, yeah.
Now alien
They never
forces,
finished it.
Yeah,
That's it.
have joined.
They
and
just
you
ruined
must
it.
contend with mechanized spiders and other organisms, as well as tanks and choppers. Power-ups can be collected once again to help battle evil forces.
Yeah, forever, everything that dual on games is just going to be referred to as Bimmy and Jimmy.
It's
Hey, it's Bimmy and Jimmy.
Lance, and I got the figures.
Like the 8-bit figures?
They're way over there. The NECA ones, yeah.
Those ones are cool.
All right, Steve. Let's see what Steve says. Steve, the editor and publisher of EGM, is partial to scrolling adventure games and the high intensity of shooters above all else. While Steve understands that RPGs have their place, he'd much rather blow in it. Sorry.
What?
He'd much rather blow an alien to a million bits instead of talking to it.
Huh. So that's where we're going. We're blowing aliens now.
So I'll read Steve, and then Will can talk about his favorite hater, Ed.
Ed, the hater, actually loves this game, apparently. Gave it an 8 out of 10.
8. So Steve says Super C doesn't represent a drastic change from the original, nor a totally unique entry into the running shooting library of games. The card is executed extremely well, however, if the graphics and the fantastically detailed and play that is intense. Oh, that are intense. Oh god, here we go. Great sound. I'm down to 7.
I feel like I'm at a high school level this stream so far.
Yeah. They're fantastically detailed and play that is intense. A good game supported by great features. Stanley All right, let's read what Ed's been up to, and then read Ed.
Okay. That's why I was confused last time. I didn't realize that was what you read first. I was like,
I was reading what they're up to.
Okay. Ed.
Bless you.
Ed enjoys all types of video games. Many of his favorites come from Sega. Oh, there it is. The Sega bias coming from Ed.
Yep.
A big fan of RPGs, Ed has recently completed some of the most difficult games, such as Phantasy Star 2. That's it? Oh, I thought they were going to say more games. But okay, anyways. Ed is now awaiting new challenges from Castlevania 3, which Castlevania 3, I feel like you always hear people talk about like Castlevania 1 and then like the weirdness of Castlevania 2, but like no one talks about how good Castlevania 3 is.
Oh, 3's the best.
Oh, it's so good, but nobody ever talks about it. I don't know why.
You get to choose your path and then pick your alter identity or whatever. The other guy can do. It's great. And they all have different powers. It's awesome.
But when everybody brings up like Castlevania, nobody talks about 3. Everybody talks about like 1, 2. They skip 3, and then like Symphony of the Night, right? Like,
yeah, that 3 was my first Metroidvania Castlevania, and I think that was the first one because there were some areas you couldn't get to. We're not talking about Castlevania 2. 3 was the first one. There were some areas you couldn't get to if you didn't have the right alter ego character. So you couldn't do some of the game. You'd have to take another path. It was really cool.
Yeah, it's a good game. Good game's good. Let's see. Ed gave this an 8 for Super C. Konami again comes up with a fantastic shooter. New content with just another sequel. Konami drives into new chip technology. The coloring between the white and the red really messes me up.
Yeah.
The result is a game with unequaled graphics, sounds, and a spectacular gameplay. A truly outstanding shooter. See, this is the problem.
Grade 7.
A truly outstanding shooting game in almost every way. It's because like they have like these old terms. They don't really like we would refer to this as a shooter nowadays, right? But then they have to say shooting game.
Yeah, those terms did not exist. Zazel, what's going on, brother? How you doing, buddy? Greetings.
Hey, Zazel.
TJ says, I remember playing Phantasy Star on the Master System Classic. Yeah, there's a really great update too that Sega did a couple years ago. You could get it on. I have mine on the Switch digitally, and it actually maps out the first-person mazes. So I recommend it. A lot easier. Okay, nice. Moving on. Abadox. Military. Oh, Milton Bradley. This is kind of like a sidearms kind of game.
Okay, that's going down to grade 2. Military and Milton Bradley. Come on now.
No, I was just I was just describing what I saw as what I was doing on the picture. It looks like a military shooting Bradley game to me. Journey into the heart of an alien planet in Abadox. Do you play this? I don't remember this one.
No, I've never played this one.
I know the name, but I never played. Natsum. Okay, so Steve gives it a 7. Abadox. Move this over here. Abadox is a little more than an average side-scrolling shoot-'em-up. The graphics are good. The whole thing handles very well. A variety of power-ups is also welcome, especially when you out to stop large bosses. Not outstanding, but definitely very good. Grade 8. Graduated.
Woo!
Thank you.
Ed gives Abadox a 6.
Hater.
I find it hard to find. Come on, Ed. Can you? Anything spectacular in Abadox. While the game plays well and features all the common power-up enhancements you'd expect in this type of battle, there's nothing that can be labeled really new. I don't like the way he wrote it. Man,
No, it's
that doesn't sound good.
No.
It plays fine, and for the most, that's good enough. But I'd have liked to see more. That stupid red in that 6.
6. Yeah, I mean 7 and a 6. It's not really making me want to go play Abadox, so I think we'll keep going. The Bionic Commando classic Capcom game, hard as hell. For everyone in the chat who remembers this one,
Yeah, it's one game I never beat.
based off the arcade game, which is even more difficult than this one. Yeah, this is not for the faint of heart, but fun. And then there was a 360 remake.
The remake was great. What are you talking about? Easy.
Remember they put him in Marvel vs. Capcom 3? Remember that?
Wait. You're talking okay, so there's two Bionic Commandos that came out during the 360 PS3 era, right?
Yeah, the 3D.
There was a literal remake of Bionic Commando which looks like this, but it is 3D but 2D.
Right. No, I was talking about the other one.
The 3D, like the sequel to Bionic Commando is what it is, because I guess you're the son of the original Bionic Commando.
Yeah.
Something like that.
You're related to him, and you know, my dad had a claw and a gun, so I want the same thing, and I want Han Solo pants too. So give me the claw.
And do you want spoilers for that game? Anybody want spoilers? Because nobody's gonna play that game.
I don't know, dude. It's still on my shelf. I might play it. No.
All right.
Go ahead.
The arm's your mom.
Brought to you by Suicide Squad.
Big twist.
TJ says I'm surprised the arcade game survived, as it left a lot of people angry. Couldn't beat it. Oh, dude, it was so hard. I like the Nintendo one way better, but I also like Contra better on NES. So it's me though.
Rye Fighter.
Thank you. I didn't even know what that said.
I took a guess. I'm probably wrong, but I'm still.
Bray. This is Bray. Yeah. Taxon, another shooter. Steve gives it an 8. Bray is an exemplary shooter. The power-up, build-up feature is a welcome change of pace. And the built-in rapid fire is nice and almost necessary in a shooting game this intense. Varied cast of attacks, power-ups, and backgrounds further increase the challenge and surprise. Fantastic.
Ta-da!
8. Steve gives it an 8. Never played this one either.
Yeah, I'm kind of intrigued now. Because even Hater Ed gives it a 7, which is pretty good. A shooter. Sorry. No.
I was just going to say, is he going to mention, is he going to brag that he beat Phantasy Star and like everything?
No, we're about to find out. A shooter that is highly reminiscent of Sector Z. Not as good as Phantasy Star 2. Well, that's a weird take there, Ed. I don't know. With a wide variety of weapons and power-ups, along with non-stop action, Bray is better than the average shooter with a password that keeps the game interesting. What? How's a password keep the game interesting?
I'm guessing that you can pick up where you left off. You don't have to start from the beginning.
But like...
That's interesting. I don't know.
What?
I don't know, man.
The scrolling is smooth and the game remains challenging. Not easy, but fun.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, who cares, right?
I didn't write this, he did.
Bray Fighter gives a lips.
What about T World Wrestling?
Tecmo World Wrestling.
Oh, is that what that T stands for? Tecmo?
I'm just taking a guess.
Huh.
Oh, yeah. Tecmo World Wrestling. Yeah, this one I did play. The latest wrestling game to hit the market is Tecmo's World Wrestling. World Wrestling doesn't have the endorsement of an association, but there are several different fighters to choose from, each with their own strengths and weaknesses. Okay, great. Steve gives it a 6. A little above average. Tecmo World Wrestling, look at the spacing. Tecmo World Wrestling is another straightforward.
Steve can figure out more words or anything to say, so he just filled it up.
He's like, I'm the editor. What are they going to do? Just make the spaces bigger.
I can do what I want.
The ring announcer takes up a lot of space and talks so quickly you can't read half of what they've said. The game is well executed, however, with a number of animation and moves that are easily performed. 6 out of 10. Ed's getting a little sweet, getting a little sweeter.
Well, until Ghostbusters, but We're getting there. Spoiler alert. We're looking ahead. Ed gave this a 7. An unusually well done wrestling game. Offering a large selection of moves, this game could have been another Me Too wrestler. Throw in smooth animation, detailed cinema close-ups. Really? And top it off with a commentator. What? Really? At the bottom?
Listen, that's grade 6. You're
No. I'm just
when
I think of a commentator, like somebody speaking, but then I looked at the screenshot and there's somebody talking at the bottom.
Yeah, it's like
and you have to read it. Okay, I get it now. I was like, somebody's actually like speaking in the game and commenting while you're playing. That's crazy.
No.
And you end up with a wrestling game to buy, even if you already own one.
I feel like once WWF brought out theirs, it was pretty hard to go back to these unlicensed wrestling games. It's kind of like football was football, and then when Electronic Arts came out with Madden and you had licensed, it was either players or teams, that it was pretty tough just to go back to generic football games. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
Who you gonna call, Will?
Ghostbusters.
Who you gonna call? Frozen Empire. Eddie Murphy or Dan Murray is 85 years old fighting ghosts. We can't.
It's Bill Murray. Don't respect Bill Murray like that.
Torch up. We're not allowed to pass the torch up. We can't do it because we waited too long. So now we have the grandkids that are way too young, but they still hold nuclear accelerators. It makes no sense. All of it's dumb. The Chunky Rapper's an iconic.
What? It has Paul Rudd in it. Paul Rudd's great.
Ghostbusters 2 by Activision. Our favorite company, Will. The Destroyer. We call Activision the Destroyer. They kill everything.
Pretty much.
Yeah. R.I.P. Blizzard. Although they did a lot to themselves, but they signed with the devil. That's what you get. The gang is back in this video game sequel to the popular movie Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters 2 uses a number of mini games that are all tied together via the movie script. Ghostbusters have slimed their way through scrolling action sequences, driving modes, and against the evil Vigo, the ultimate evil Vigo. Each phase of the game introduces a new backdrop of characters, weapons, and goals, while familiar Ghostbusters tunes jam. I feel like that terminology is incorrect.
There's a lot of weird wording that they've been using.
Well, our editor, Steve, out of all of them, liked it the most, but he's still just like average 5. None of the games within a game are great, but most of them are nicely done and follow the movie. The scrolling graphics are detailed enough and colorful, but there's never enough in the way of enemies to contend with. There's nothing really wrong with the game. There's just not a lot that's notable. 5.
Huh.
Okay, so for anyone who doesn't know, Will's a big Ghostbusters fan.
I love Ghostbusters.
I feel like we should talk to Will. Will, have you played Ghostbusters 2 for NES?
No, actually, I haven't. I honestly did not play any of the Ghostbusters games on the NES growing up. The first one I played was actually the Genesis one, which I'm thankful for because the Genesis one was good.
Yeah. Yeah, this one is not good, and the very first one is in my opinion almost unplayable. It's so bad. It's like trying to get to the top of the stairs to Gozer or whatever, like you go like this. If you don't have an NES Max turbo controller, and even at then you can't, it's impossible. All right.
Yeah, like I don't know. I love Ghostbusters, and I know like you were saying that take about the younger generation, but there was a cartoon series, the Extreme Ghostbusters, that came out, and that was like the handoff where it was like teenagers that they're grooming to become the next set of Ghostbusters. Absolutely love that cartoon, and then it just like disappeared from existence. But have you watched the new Ghostbusters movie? Not the 2016 one, because that was hot garbage.
Afterlife, no.
I recommend it. It's very good. And it's not too heavy-handed where it relies a lot on the original Ghostbusters. to be like, this is what they are. It tells its own story in the upcoming of like a new generation. And it sounds like the Frozen Wastes. You've got me on a thing here. The Frozen, was it the Frozen Wasteland? What are they calling that? The new movie, Frozen Empire. There we go.
Yeah.
Is like the send off apparently that is going to be to the OG Ghostbusters, and then they're going to continue on with Paul Rudd and these new upcoming ones.
No comment.
I think it's I don't know. I think there's good ways to do it where you're not just like prime example is like when we talk about Star Wars all the time, where they always have to go back and reference to the Skywalkers.
Whoa. You want to talk about this?
What do you mean?
That movie, that Afterlife, dude,
Yeah,
is filled with such nonsense. Like things that were used as incidental props, as improvs from Bill Murray. They treat them like they're iconic imagery, like the chunky wrapper, for God's sakes. Stuff like that, like the PKE meter, they treat it like it's a lightsaber. It's a piece of technology, man. They uncover the Ecto One like it's this like it's this mythical vehicle, like it's the Batmobile or something. That's the problem I have with it.
But like that's not like the people in the movie don't revel it as that. A lot of the people have forgotten who the Ghostbusters are.
Right.
So like when they do it in that for like that reveal and stuff, it's more for the viewers than it is the people in there. A lot of the kids look at that stuff and they're like, "What is this junk?"
Right.
So that's
I don't think those movies are made for kids. They're made for us.
No, I'm not saying the kids and the viewers, the kids in the show, like those kids unveiling that stuff and touching that stuff, they have no idea who the Ghostbusters are throughout that whole movie. Egon's granddaughter doesn't even know he existed or what he did.
Which I find that pretty hilarious. And I'm not going to talk about the incident. I can't even bring it up. I'm not going to talk about the incident that happened in the early 2000s in New York that was horrific, okay? But the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man incident that happened in New York, I feel like, do you know what I mean? Like, that these kids have no knowledge of this, and people kind of forgot about a creature that came down from hell or wherever it came from and destroyed New York. It's like they don't really remember that. It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, but that's the same thing that happens in the beginning of Ghostbusters 2, is that they're pushed to the wayside. A lot of like government officials pushed it to being like use of like effects and props and a show. And then like you're not given like the full information. So then in Ghostbusters 2, like Ghostbusters are shut down. Nobody remembers them. You get kids shouting He-Man at a party while the Ghostbusters are dancing with, because that's the only way they can make money.
That's part,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can relate. I'll sing.
I'm just saying like that's just the way information goes. Like stuff happens and then generations down the line, it doesn't even take that long, 10, 20 years, people forget stuff. People forget things that happen. Some people just don't want to even admit things happen. That's just life. I understand. I'm just saying that's how it works. In real life still, people just don't want to admit things that happened like historically, even if it's documented nowadays, because they just don't want to see it that way.
Yeah. I have an issue with the ending. I have an issue with the arc of the kids. And to me, it's just something that I wish the creators going forward would have more strength in this next generation. As much as, I'm not a huge Star Trek guy, I tend to bring up the next generation of Star Trek a lot lately, because I think that's an example of them doing it right. Mm-hmm. They brought in McCoy and Scotty later for a couple of episodes. They brought in Spock later. But they didn't rely on those characters. I could have done with Dan Aykroyd on the phone, Bill Murray on the TV, but you didn't have to have them come in at the end, because it kind of negates and it kind of discredits everything that the new heroes have done. They got to this point and they can't do it, so Ghost Egon has to do it for the kid. Like, it's, oh my God.
I think that's a tribute and like a send-off to Egon. But like, even then, when the Ghostbusters came, they still didn't do anything. They get like knocked back, and the kids are still the ones that handle it in the end. Really, they're just there to show up
so that the 40-plus-year-olds can lose their mind.
Yeah, and like that's. I'm not saying it's not, but that is a nostalgia thing. But I feel like the kids still held their own against this whole thing was like we're really going off topic. But anyways,
that's all right.
That movie was more of like a send-off and like a closing of those original ones. And then I think like the new one coming in is going to be more solidifying in the new generation of Ghostbusters from the sound of it.
I hope so, because the trailer that I saw this morning, it was on YouTube automatically. Bill Murray's all over it.
Well, they have, like, honestly, like, if they didn't, like, marketing standpoint, like, that's what's going to draw people in still, right? Seeing the original Ghostbusters.
Unfortunately, yeah. I agree with you.
Like, that's just marketing 101. Like, if you don't throw them in there, people were like, okay, cool. Like, yeah. Like, Ghostbusters hasn't been around, like, it's been around for a long time, but, like, the property itself has had such a stagnant, like, empty space where people just didn't have anything Ghostbusters for so long that they have to rely on those old ones to kind of usher in a new era for new generations that will like it. Because the only way for the last, I'd say almost 20 years that people would be referenced to Ghostbusters was probably through parents.
And video games like this, right? Like
but like, what was the last Ghostbusters video game on the 360?
Yeah, I want to say 2009, I think it came out.
Yeah, so 10 plus years from now, ago, right? So 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Anyways, continue on.
Ed gives it a 4. No, it's an interesting topic. And I wanted to, I'm glad we talked about this because I know you're a big Ghostbusters fan. And I always wanted to know actually what you thought of the new one. All right, Ed, you're up.
Some sequels just don't measure up to original. Ed, there's supposed to be a "the" there. This is one of them. While different, the game just doesn't have the hook needed to maintain the game theme. Action is okay. Excuse me. But frustrating at times. Perhaps a better game for the younger player, but it just isn't interesting enough to hold interest. What?
That
these guys are journalists, and like sometimes they use like the way they word things is not great.
That review is just words. Yeah, that was terribly written. Destro, how you doing, dude? John says the last Ghostbusters game was last year. TJ, it was on PS3 originally, then remastered on PS4. Yeah, Will and I had it on a 360, I think, back in the day. I remember playing it, and everyone was behind it because like Dan Aykroyd helped write it and stuff like that. So it's great. Boxel, put it in your box. Oh,
you love Boxel.
Heavy Barrel. Heavy Barrel by Data East is like the second and fourth mission in Contra. It's a top-down shooter. Very average. I played this back in the day, and every time I played Heavy Barrel, it's just like I'd rather be playing Contra. That's just me. So Steve gives it a 7. Excuse me. Although it controls a bit haphazardly, Heavy Barrel has all the diversity and shooting power that is needed to sustain itself as something different from Commando in similar games. The goal of piecing together a mega gun is a nice subplot. How is that a subplot? But the straight action is a strong point in Heavy Barrel. 7, I guess above average. Did you play Heavy Barrel?
No. I was trying to think of. I don't remember this game at all.
TJ just completed Ghostbusters. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that game is great.
Yeah,
and that's another one. Like it does rely heavily on the old original Ghostbusters, and you're like the new rookie being brought up. But still, like I don't know, it does a great job. Ghostbusters is great. I don't care what Jay says. Don't listen to him. He's a hater.
I'm a hater. Jay hates Ghostbusters now. Hashtag.
Jay's the new Ed.
Speaking of Ed,
perhaps Data East's best attempt at a shooter, while very similar Okay, there
2.
should be a 2, Akari Warriors. The idea of searching for the pieces to a super weapon adds a different twist to the game. The graphics are very well done. Scroll smoothly and change often. As a shooter, the action is constant. One of the best this year.
I'm convinced that modern video game terminology that we all use was invented to correct all of this poorly made terminology that EGM did, because it's just
Jargon.
Maybe we're just so used to saying the first person shooter and stuff like that that here it's like, what do they call shooters? Like whatever they call it, whatever. Terrible. Codename Viper. Codename Viper is similar to what's called Rolling Thunder. I hated this game. I remember I rented it one weekend, despite it having, Capcom creating it. I personally didn't like it. It was like military Rolling Thunder. I just found it very clumsy, very archaic. But Steve liked it. Steve gives it an 8. Codename Viper expands upon Rolling Thunder with similar games by including intermissions, see cutscenes, and storylines that fill in the piece by piece. That fills in piece by piece. The rounds are nicely drawn. The levels are nicely drawn. And the action is nonstop. The game is difficult, and you'll find yourself continuing a lot. But there's a password every 3 levels, and that helps. I think you and I, as we're reading it, are correcting it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's sometimes they just don't. They're not very good at properly like making sentences at times, and I think it's because of the box size.
I agree.
Like they're just trying to rush it and fit it in, and it just doesn't work sometimes.
They think don't need to be there. Yeah.
Yeah. Spirits Unleashed, you got a trophy list. Yeah, I do. I didn't forget that game came out, Wienerville. I was just more saying like before Afterlife, and like you can say even the 2016 movie, like there's a drought of Ghostbusters things, right? Like there's not a lot of Ghostbusters content in between those, from the Ghostbusters 2 till like the 360 game, and then like it's another like gap of nothing until like 2016, then a few years later, and then it was 2022. Was that when the last movie came out? Anyways,
I think it was 2022. Yeah, Christmas. Yeah,
but now we're getting a bunch of Ghostbusters stuff, and I did play that Spirits Unleashed game. It's good, but I just don't like that it relies a lot on like multiplayer stuff, because that almost immediately kills games nowadays. So people leave and forget about it, and then you just can't play it anymore because it's only online.
Is it like it's like what's it called? Texas Chainsaw, one of those games? Or
kinda,
like,
yeah.
Evolve,
yeah.
Right? Evolve like that?
Yeah. Like you basically you play 4 Ghostbusters, you go into a site and somebody plays a ghost and they're supposed to capture you, and then you're supposed to pretty much evade or knock out the Ghostbusters, yeah.
The idea of all those games is so great, but yeah, the shelf life. I mean, you could even do a Star Wars one like that, and it's still just gonna it starts off really strong for like the first week or two, and then just drops.
Yeah. The reliance of like online only stuff only lasts for so long, unless you have like a banger of a title that just shoots off and then plays. But like a lot of the time, like they just die.
Remember that one? Remember that great one, Will? That came out. It was gone really fast. Gotham, was it Gotham Impersonators? Gotham Imposters? Do you remember that shooter?
Oh yeah, with like I remember that. It's like the really wannabe cool Jokers and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was really cool, and it was online only, multiplayer only, no bots, and it was like just gone, just disappeared. Too bad. Spirits Unleashed can be played solo.
Really? Everything I did when I played through that game, it was like, oh, here you go, going on online matchmaking. So I just that's all it ever did. Every time I loaded up a match, it would just do the online stuff. So I was like, maybe I'll try it again. We'll see. I have it for PS5. Like I have the disc, so I can just pop it in at any point. But.
Oh, nice. Al Unser Turbo Racing. Is this for NES? Yeah. So this is by Data East again. Steve gives it a 7. Turbo Racing is a very nice package. Not only do you get 2 types of practice modes, but you also get an arcade-style tournament feature that has qualifying laps, customizing options, and more. The background and track graphics are good, but the cars suffer from flicker when they're bunched up. It's the limitations of the NES. What do you want over here? 7, above average. Never played it.
Ooh, Ed hates this one. We got a 4. Of all sports games,
Ooh.
I like racing best.
What?
And when a new one appears, it better be good. Unsur. Okay, how are we pronounce this? Unsir? Unsur? 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 I feel like it's Unsur.
It's Al Unser.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Unsur. Unsur has good intentions and lots of courses, auto options, but it does lack a tachometer, and the graphics, while detailed, are designed in a very distracting way. What? There is no gas gauge, and the pit area doesn't work.
Huh. So below average, way below 4. Yeah, I'm good. One of our favorites. Still good to see the ad for Super Dodgeball still in there. Get into some Genesis. Air Diver 7. This is like a flight sim, I think. I remember this game came out. I never played it. I never had any interest really.
The cockpit takes up like 80% of the screen. How do you see anything to shoot?
That's what I mean. Yeah, look at it. It just looked to me like, and it was this screen I saw back in the day. I was like, you know. And back then too, you couldn't really rent Genesis yet. So I was like, nah, I'm good. Steve says 7. What we have here is Afterburner with some purpose. Air Diver's strong points are a map scene for difficulty adjustment and bad bosses that require fancy flying to shake and strike down. The cockpit is detailed, but the backgrounds scroll by in a choppy fashion. A nice flying shooter. It's a bit repetitive. Looks boring to me.
It doesn't look great.
Yeah.
I don't like that cockpit design. It's too invasive. Like, it's too big and everywhere. It shouldn't need to be that big.
You probably don't have to look at much on the cockpit either, so.
No, most of the time you just be aiming down that little reticule looking for things to shoot, right?
Yeah.
Ed says, with its first-person perspective, looking out of the cockpit, Air Diver comes off as an excellent fight simulator. I want to say flight simulator because it was flying. Barrel rolls, loops, and flips are all well executed. The computer is very strong opponent. Okay. Well, the altitude doesn't significantly change. This only makes the game more intense.
See, let's change that to 2024 video game terminology, right? If the computer is a very strong opponent, we'd be like, the AI is tough.
Yeah.
Right?
The AI is tough.
Yeah.
Game shoots me good.
This is a really unique title. Harzogzwei, I think is how you pronounce it. Harzogzwei. I believe that's German, if I'm not mistaken. This is a while back, but I remember this is like a top-down shooter with strategic. I think not RTS. There's strategy elements, but I don't think it's in real time. I don't remember, but this was a really bizarre title. And it was actually really rare back in the day. Even though Sega brought it out, I remember never being able to find this game at all. I finally got it in my collection years later, but it's just a cool name. I like it.
Yeah, I've never heard of it. It's a strategy game?
Top-down strategy shooter. Steve hates it. 4. This is a very unusual game. It's not an arcade game, shooter, or action title. Herzog is a military strategy action game, I guess. The graphics are nice, look very similar to overhead scenes in Thunder Force 2, but they play at a very the play is very regimented and will get hard for anyone but war games gamers to appreciate. I don't agree with that. See, there you go. There you go. JT knows what's going on.
Herzog Zug is a banger. Maybe I'll have to look into this.
Yeah. I liked it. It was good.
Ed says it's okay. This is a good game designed for a small group of hardcore players. This military simulation has well-drawn graphics and a very formidable computer opponent. Too complex for the average player, but two-player option and a very faint arcade-style overtones help out.
Too complex for the average player. Listen to Mr. Highbrow.
Sheesh.
Ed,
It's like you finished Phantasy Star 2 or something.
Ed grew up and he became NASA. NASA. Oh, well, I can't say this next one.
Highlight, super highlight.
Super diddler. Hi diddler. Hi diddler 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 diddle. Super high diddle diddle diddle. I can't say the name who makes that. Seismic?
Seismic, yeah.
Super high diddly diddly diddly. This is the sequel to Highline for NES. Steve gives it a 4 with super high diddly doodly doodly. Maybe interesting enough to capture the hearts of role-playing game fans, enthusiasts. I seriously disliked all the jumpy animation and the difficulty and control that it caused. Also, early in the game, you spend time building your character. Welcome to RPG there, Steve.
You get to build your character? No
you
way.
Spend too much time building your character and not enough time exploring. There just isn't much to motivate play. And I feel like he threw the pencil down and went home for the day. 4.
Ed doesn't mind this either, though. Super highlight. A role-playing game with monstrous proportions. Along with this is the very high difficulty level. Building up strength and weapons is painstakingly. It's supposed to be painstakingly, but that's not how it's spelled. It's PASIN stakingly. Painstakingly slow. See? But not unusual for games of this type. Graphics are good too. While it's slow and complex, SH is the first RPG for serious role players. Okay, continue.
No. I was just gonna say, I didn't know that was spelt wrong. So there you go.
Yeah, it's PASIN and then stakingly. So painstakingly.
Well, I didn't realize William Law, the English professor, was here today, ladies and gentlemen.
No, I'm just trying to give the viewers the way it's supposed to be. I'm just reading it as it said there.
Good, because I give the viewers the opposite. Michael Andretti, you can... Natopia! Natopia is the Legend of Zelda-esque inspired game for the TurboGrafx 16. It was a system seller back in the day. Good morning, Den of Geek. How you doing, buddy?
Morning, Jeff.
Newtopia brings the Legend of Zelda style to play for the TurboGrafx with advanced graphics and a quest that is filled with monsters, magic, swords, and surprises. You assume the role of a brave warrior who has been enlisted to save the 4 kingdoms from ruin. All right, we got it. Good stuff. 7. That's not so good for a Zelda style. Newtopia is a little more than a clone of Zelda from beginning to the end. The play mechanics are identical, feature 8 worlds and 8 dungeons to map out. The controls are identical. Everything is identical. The same options exist within the environment with better graphics. Need more originality? I'm going home. He got mad again and threw his pencil down. Steve can't take it.
Let's see. Zelda lives again. Oh,
thank you.
Neotopia is so close to Zelda, it's virtually identical. For the Turbo, the graphics. See, anyways, are better and the mazes are new. It's a very good quest game and the long adventure and a necessary password. What's with you? Ed is all about the passwords. This magazine. It's a new category for the game. Category of game for the Turbo, and it plays well. Huh. 6.
Yeah, you couldn't save on the Turbo. There was no battery, right? So if you didn't have a password, you were screwed. And I think he's just saying that it makes sense for a game like this, right?
Yeah.
JJ and Jeff. This was a weird one. It was based on, I believe, a Japanese variety show. I don't know what it's called, but they changed the characters to JJ and Jeff. That's not originally who they were on the PC Engine. I don't know the name of the game, though.
I have this cart. I didn't understand. I can't get past like the first 15 minutes. I don't know what's going on, and I just like stop playing.
Because they took the two Japanese actors from the Japanese sitcom and removed them, okay, and then put in these two guys that are supposed to be Americanized, I guess, except everything else from the game is from this show, and I don't know what the show is called. So in Japan, it makes sense and it's funny, and the gags are from the show, but to us, I don't know what this is. Nobody knows what this is. Hey,
yeah.
Johnny, take care, buddy. Thanks for hanging. Yeah. In this game, dude, this
See
game's
you, Renaville.
so hard. It's so hard.
Yeah, it's very confusing. I've tried a couple times on the Turbo, like because I have it, and I'm just like, I should give this another go. No, don't work.
8. JJ and Jeff is a terrific game. It's got all the charm of Super Mario, but has slicker graphics and infinitely more challenge. Sorry, that's funny. Completing the game is a task that only the most persistent will endure, but the game never becomes too difficult. JJ and Jeff looks, sounds, and plays outstanding. I don't know about that. 8, dude, that's pretty high. Come on.
Yeah, Ed really likes it too. An adventure game in the Wonder Boy vein. Ooh, pulling at your heartstrings here, Jay. You like Wonder Boy?
Alex Kidd, but that's all right.
No, it's the same thing. Same games. They look the same.
Easy.
Very well done and unbelievably. I'm just saying, reading it as it is. It says unbelievably funny. While tamer than before, this there are still plenty of hidden rooms, tricks, and items to discover. Graphic text screens and a lot of action makes JJ come off as a game that has never been seen in the US before. It's unbelievably. It's a lot of V's.
JT's getting a little hot under the collar. Based on these scores, this game is twice as good as Herzog's Vi. Ridiculous!
Herzog's Vi. I just like saying that. Herzog's Vi.
Taking it to the hoop. Generic basketball game for Turbo, which was known for shots like this, which is not gameplay. When you do a dunk and taking it to the hoop, it cuts to this cinematic. So shots like this are very misleading. Nonetheless, generic basketball game, no real players, no real teams. 6. Taking it to the hoop looks great in the close-ups, but has few too many pastels during what? Pastels during regular play? What does that mean? Okay. Once you get the basics of moving and passing the ball down, the game becomes interesting, but unfortunately it becomes repetitive as well. I mean, what's basketball, dude? Playing the game is okay. Playing a season is tedious. Well, that's just someone who doesn't like sports. So come on, man.
Yeah, why did they make the non-sports guy review a sports game? Come on.
Kilton Corgi to Host. See, all I know from that is Rammstein.
Ed says a fantastic basketball game. Not as fast-paced as Double Dribble, but with graphics that are considerably better, Hoop puts more personality into play with a whole bunch of backups. Close-up shots are highly detailed and use different angles. The best basketball game to date.
Fair enough. Oh my God. What the hell is that?
Flipple? Hey, Flipple!
Flip pull. Flip pull. Yes. Steve says yes. Flip pull is another puzzle game for the Game Boy, but it is very good puzzler with just the right amount of strategy. The game requires precise thinking and planning. Subsequent moves is a must. Like Tetris, Flip pull is a simple game, but highly playable and quite addictive. 7. I've never heard of this one. It's Taito. There you go.
It's a GB. I almost want to say GBA, but it's a Game Boy game.
Just regular Game Boy.
The old Game Boy.
Yep.
Ed really liked it. Ed likes his puzzle games.
He's a hipster, yeah.
Good puzzle games are difficult to produce. Make it too hard or complex, and it won't succeed. Flipple. It's just funny to say. Flipple. Combines the best of Tetris and others in a game which is addicting, devilishly simple to understand, but not so easy to beat. It's a puzzle game that grows on you as you play more. Bum, bum, bum.
I'm really interested in this next one. Look at this.
Space Invaders?
Look at these scores. Wow. The beloved arcade classic.
Does it just not work? Because I feel like you can't really mess up Space Invaders. Space Invaders is Space Invaders. If it plays like that, like how can you expect any more? You know what I mean?
I do. Full disclosure, I never was a fan of this game. This and Galaxian. I don't like those games.
Centipede was my jam. I liked Centipede more than those.
Sure, yeah, me too. But Space Invaders is iconic. It is one of the greatest games of video game history.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just kind of curious as to why it's so low. So 5, I guess Steve liked it the most. There's not much you can say one way or another about this game. You either like Space Invaders or you don't. Don't plan on getting anything more than what the title promises. Space Invaders had its day. It is done nearly perfectly on the Game Boy. But the game itself is very average. So this is a time in video game history when we wanted to leave the past way in the past, right? So
yeah,
bringing this to the Game Boy would be like, ugh, this old dusty game. Nobody wants that. Where today, that's everyone's all about the retro, right? But back then, it was like, no, we don't want that. Give us the new stuff.
Yeah, I don't understand what they would be. I guess
2. Holy frig.
But like, it's not really. When did this come out? Where are we? What year is this?
90.
90. So you're talking about 70.
Space Invaders was what,
years.
78, I think.
Yeah, so that's like arcade, right? And then you probably have a handful of years between then on like Atari and stuff.
Yep.
It's not really that far separated from time where like you'd be tired of Space Invaders. Would you?
And I think it would have been cool for adults
to like have it on the go?
Yeah, who grew up in the arcades to have Space Invaders. Like it would be like having Pac-Man on the go. Like it'd be cool. I don't know.
Yeah, why are they so hard on it? I don't know. Games just don't come out any worse. Oh my god. Have you played King Kong? Or The Walking Dead?
Hey. Open your game. Open your King Kong.
No, it's going to forever stay in there, and I'm going to ever wonder if it's scratched or not from all the abuse it's been taking.
Send it to get graded. I dare you.
They give me a 10 out of 10. Perfect.
Now it's worth 5 cents.
At least SI? Oh, okay. Space Invaders. Why didn't you say Space Invaders? Come on, Ed!
Space is the issue with these boxes.
Well, it needs to invade the space better.
Brutal.
On the 2600 had color. Yes. Space Invaders on the Game Boy is just about the most boring game ever made. There is no challenge here, no incentive to get any further and to get the game. Nothing to hold interest. No updates on the theme. Make this game bomb in my book. Why is he? I don't understand why he's being so hard. It's Space Invaders.
Space Invaders was black and white anyway, the original. So Learn your game history, Ed.
Was the arcade version black and white?
Yeah, dude. Of course. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I
I
don't
think.
remember.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Was it? Are
Well,
you
Google it.
sure?
Google it right now. Chat, was Space Invaders black and white in the arcade? It was, right? It 100% was. Black and green. It was black and green, Matt says.
Black, white, and green. There we go. I remember some color.
Okay. So what was it monochrome then? Or it was actually green, black and green? Okay. That's fair. I guess it would be monochrome on the Game Boy. Spider-Man. Oof. Oh, LJN.
Spider-Man by LGN. Better than Space Invaders.
Like Castlevania, Steve says, this game is an outstanding example of how good a Game Boy game can be. Both the characters and background graphics are top-notch. The dual speed scrolling is in some scenes and vertical movements in others. The power-up options are also good. A thumbs-up winner. 8. Not bad, kid. Not bad.
Game Boy action games are typically old NES reruns. Spider-Man is new and refreshing. The action is fast, and it is also clear and more importantly, controllable. The intermissions are well done and add to the mood of the game. There's a lot here to prove that good games can come in black and white. But you're whining about Space Invaders in black and white.
Good
Shut
job,
up, Ed.
Spider-Man. Yeah, shut up, Ed. There's what you had. JT wants to see a Bishu ad in order to save this dumpster fire of a review.
Yeah, where is all the poor Bishu?
Mo says LJN actually made a good game. I thought they only made bad games.
Well,
yeah, I mean, yeah. If you look at something like Back to the Future for Nintendo, it had nothing to do with Back to the Future, so that makes sense, right? But Spider-Man, you clearly can't have a Spider-Man universe without Spider-Man, Madam Web. Okay, just saying, Madam Web can't.
that's the same. I would argue with the Venom movies, right? Like the Venom movies
sure.
were not great.
Sure, it's ridiculous.
I don't know.
Venom looks like Venom, like that form, because he took over Spider-Man's costume. Anyway, don't even get me into the Sony Spider-Verse without Spider-Man. It's the most ridiculous thing in pop culture. Okay. Gaming gossip will only do a few of these. Oh, there you go. The latest entry in the trilogy sequel madness are Castlevania 3 first shown to American audiences by my editor at Castlevania Crusader, Steve Harris, last issue. Will be whipping its way to the States later this year. The other big news for sequel fans is word that Phantasy Star 3 for the Genesis. But I just finished part 2. Don't be a downer, Quarterman. Anyway, sources tell me that it won't be ready for a while. One game that Sega will be hinting at for their big Christmas push this year is Vermilion, also known as the Sword of Vermilion, which is a great Phantasy Star-ish game for Genesis by Sega. Although they won't confirm it. Come on, guys. It's a great game. Start bragging about it over here. Quarterman.
It now appears that Hudson will be supporting the TurboGrafx with GameSoft's.
I like how you picked the smallest one.
In the title. What? I didn't pick the smallest one. I feel like the middle one here is a little bit smaller.
I picked the smallest one and you picked the same small one.
With GameSoft's in the States? What the hell is GameSoft's?
Dude, I don't know.
Maybe this will finally give the Turbo the shot in the arm it needs to get back into the ring punching. Some other cool softs. I hate it. Set to appear down the line include the American Sammy's Ninja Knock 'em Up Ninja Crusaders. Great name, Mike. Huh. And several games from Natsume, a group formed of ex-Capcom and Konami developers. Believe me, their stuff is sizzling hot. Until next time. Natsume went on to make one of the most iconic games in history, Harvest Moon.
Ah, yes. And I did not know they were made up of ex-Capcom and Konami. Like, that's crazy. Two of the greatest companies around. Brian, what's up, dude? From Twitchland. How are you doing?
Hi, Brian.
Will is it
Yeah?
Turbo Graphics? Brian says.
It's true. It's true.
Air Fortress. Whoop. Oh, there you go, guys. Right now, if you guys
Toho Video Game Hotline.
Rick, the game counselor, is still waiting.
I thought this was like a dating phone call hotline. Talk directly to game playing pros at Toho.
But it's just the company Toho. Can any? Oh, there you go. I was gonna say, can you name one Toho game? Godzilla and Circus Caper. Like if you're a kid and you need to call the video game hotline for Godzilla, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man. Come on.
What about Circus Caper? No?
That I have no clue. Godzilla, you go from this side of the screen to this side of the screen. Sorry.
Isn't it that strategy one though? Is that the one? Maybe that's the same one?
Godzilla's the one where
it's like the hexel based stuff, wasn't it? And you move around and then
in the action scenes you can't turn around.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go far enough and any enemies get behind you, that's it. They just shoot you. You can't reach around or do anything.
Yeah.
International outlook. So we got some Japanese games that are coming to the States. They all came here. Sword of Vermilion, Gain Ground, Batman. Did you ever play the Genesis Batman?
Actually, no. Was it good?
It's good. It looked more like the Tim Burton, but the Sunsoft NES one I still think is a better game overall.
No.
Sword of Vermilion is a fantastic game. It's another Phantasy Star type game.
Moon Dancer.
That I don't know if we got.
Narrative text with vividly drawn graphics from multiple locations in the adventure. Add several different characters, options, and menus, and you get an RPG unlike any other. Huh.
Yeah, there's a bunch of these. Sorcery something.
What's going on in Sio Blade? Is that guy's head getting chomped on by a shark?
No, I think it's a split screen. He's in the cockpit, and it's showing his engine take off. It's like an anime.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It looks like his head's getting chomped on by a shark. I don't know. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah. Hold Me Closer, Moon Dancer. Guilty Corgi. I don't think that came out here. I don't recall it anyway. I don't know. Oh boy. Yeah,
wrestling.
Wrestling. There you go. Generic wrestling guy fights the other generic wrestling guy.
You ready to wrestle?
Arcade Alley. G-Lock. Can't say I remember G-Lock. It looks like an Afterburner kind of clone by Sega.
That looks good though. Like that screenshot with the jet. Like it looks graphically impressive.
Yeah, that looks really sick. Anybody ever played G-Lock?
Hey, G-Lock.
Look at this guy. Oh boy. SNK's Neo Geo. Originally shown in EGM number 9. In its consumer system format, the SNK Neo Geo made its stateside appearance for the first time at Acme. All of the software announced before we presented included Magician Lord, dual scrolling action adventure game, NAM 75, which is also a great game. Neo Geo is not planned as a consumer machine here. Well, we all know that it did come out, and there was like 3% of the population owned one.
Yeah. Such a shame because there's a lot of great games and the direct arcade ports were amazing. It's just that thing was just too expensive. Those carts were just
like Canadian 300, 330. That's can you imagine us as teenagers with our first job trying to save up for one game? That's as much as a whole console.
Yeah, ridiculous, right?
G-Lock sounds like a character in San Andreas. I would agree. Nintendo new chip booster promises to deliver near 60-bit graphics in play. Okay. Don't know much about this. This is just basically them upstepping the game with games like Mario 3 Super C. Remember, Nintendo was all about you don't need the 16-bit systems because Nintendo is kind of keeping up with Genesis and Turbo. Do you remember all that?
Yeah.
That's not true. They had the Super Nintendo ready to go. Oh. Mattel previews the new Power Glove controller behind closed doors at the Toy Fair. This was the prototype.
Gross.
Yeah, because the one we have doesn't split into two like this. The prototype looks way worse.
Yeah, that looks bad. Ugh.
Like, let's be honest here, okay? Aside
not
from the movie The Wizard, like, who cares about this thing? Did anybody care about this?
Nope. Even as a kid, I didn't care about it. First time I tried it was at a friend's house, and the damn thing would never work. And I was like, this is dumb. And then we never used it again.
You were doing this or this in Mario. I can't remember which one to jump. I think it was
I
probably...
think it was like a flick, like a wrist flick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Will and I often talk about the Wii and how sick of waggling around, right? That's nothing compared to this. This would actually, like, kill your arm. I was just like... I really hope this isn't the future of gaming because I don't want to sit there and do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's not good.
You got one of these, right? I'm sure somewhere.
Actually, I don't.
You don't have a Power Glove? Okay.
I never. Okay, so the thought of buying a used Power Glove seems really gross to me, knowing how like probably many sweaty hands have been in that thing.
Yeah, that's pretty gross. Oh, I got mine with you.
Yes, I remember this.
Toy Rat.
Yep.
And it was just, it's over there just on a shelf. Never tried to hook it up. It's just for the novelty of having it. But it was pretty cheap. And back then, it wasn't something that's like there's people that do live streams all the time that are wearing the Power Glove and that kind of stuff.
No, I can't. Something about it makes me like, ugh.
What's 3K on eBay? What, a sealed one? Which one? What, Kilted Corgi? What are you talking about there?
3K. Jay's going to be off selling his right now.
No. If glove controllers were haptic interface based on moving, they would have been awesome. But they were just regular controllers in a glove. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, like,
right.
Yeah, and like the technology just wasn't there back then, right? Like nowadays, I don't understand why we don't have like haptic feedback, like glove controllers for VR.
Well, have you seen that the Apple goggles thing now that just came out?
I've seen people walking in the streets with them on.
Like,
not in real life, but videos of it. I'm just like,
guess
that's
you do this to text, so you do this to like, what do you do? Like, what's wrong with it? Why is this such a big deal just to do this? Like, why would you want your home screen right in front of your eyes and you're trying to look like if you're walking down the street or something? I don't understand that. Am I the only one that doesn't get that? I don't. But
like, what if eventually they get it down to a point where it's like just in our glasses, and then you just get like things pop up in front of you just from wearing glasses?
Okay, you and I both wear glasses. I understand
dirty.
what you're saying. My point is, I need to be able to move this so I can see everything. I don't want something permanently like.
Yeah, but like there'd be some like transparency. You could probably have like an opacity filter or something you can see through.
You just want to be a cyborg. Just tell everybody in the chat you want to be a cyborg and just.
Oh, it's not. It's not a secret. I would cyborgify myself in an instant. As soon as they launch those programs, I'm in.
I'm with Matt here. It's a cool. It's like Captain and the Game Master, right? How he has the NES controller as a belt buckle. It's like that. You put the Power Glove on. It looks cool. Angry Video Game Nerd did a really great episode on all the peripherals. Yeah, it's good to dress up. It's video gamey, but the actual use of it's terrible. Will is a cyberpunk. That's true.
Oh man, that would be cool.
It'd be cool if my arm got cut off and I had a claw, a robot claw.
Yeah. Who wouldn't want a robot claw?
Next wave, Ninja Gaiden Dark Sword of Chaos. Yes, bring it on. You got to play this game if you guys haven't played it. Oh.
Oh, Fabio.
I think it was EGM 5 or 6 featured this on the cover. But this is the actual ad. I had this in my room. Go ahead, let the jokes. Come on, let's hear them. I had this poster in my room.
I don't know if there's jokes. I just kind of feel bad for you now.
There was nothing cooler in the 80s than ninjas, but only slightly less cooler were barbarians. And there was no cooler barbarian than Fabio. Fabio the Barbarian, maybe.
Hey! I don't know where to go from here. Fabarian?
Like
Baronio?
The arm hair. Like, listen, okay? If you're going to do the glistening bodybuilder thing like Arnold, you got to shave your arms, dude. You shaved the chest, you shaved your face. You got to take the arm hair off, man. Come on. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
More NES.
Did we ever find out whatever happened to that guy?
Fabio?
Yeah. Is he still around? Is he doing things?
I don't know. Can anyone in the chat tell me? What's Fabio doing? Is somebody super bored and they want to Google Fabio? I feel like he had a music career.
Really?
No, I'm just making it up. I don't know. I feel like he should have had a music career. Did we say, like, wasn't he the Beast in Beauty and the Beast, the show?
Was he?
Just making up
No.
all this stuff. I don't know.
Oh, wait, no, the show. What was that show? Was it
Beauty and the Beast with Linda Hamilton, who was Sarah Connor, and then remember the Beast?
No, that was fuck, why am I forgetting his name? He played Hellboy.
We talked about this before.
He was in Blade. What's his name?
Ron Perlman.
Yeah, there we go. That he played the Beast. I remember this.
In my memory, it's Fabio. So we're gonna go with that. Everyone's
okay.
Ron Perlman, Jay, you idiot.
I admitted I couldn't remember the name.
Wasn't he on Baywatch?
Ron Perlman? In Baywatch?
I think Destro's saying Fabio was on Baywatch. Was he Hasselhoff's brother? What is this weird warped like history that we're creating here, everybody? What's going on?
The actor?
Who's president in 1985? Future boy. Ronald Reagan. The actor? Bad News Baseball is stupid. That's all. Red Alert. Hey, do you remember Red Alert for the TurboGrafx CD? Do you remember seeing this game?
I don't. The only Red Alert I know of is Command & Conquer.
No, this is before your little Command & Conquer game. A copy.
No, the only one that matters is Command & Conquer Red Alert. I don't care. There no other Red Alert exists.
With the full motion video cutscenes, dude, it's gold, Jerry. It's gold. Brian says the last thing I remember Fabio in was Zoolander. Okay.
He was in Zoolander? Oh, was it like that part where like they're meeting up with people like at the where they're going to that big schmooze of like everybody, all these models getting together and Fabio's there? That scene?
I would say that's a pretty good guess. There you go. Ghostbusters by Sega. Who are you going to call?
Ghostbusters!
Well, you heard the answer to that question, but never in 16-bit, Will. Sega rides out the Ghostbusters name one more time in this well-animated graphic adventure. You take on the persona of one of the four. That is incorrect. There's only 3 in this. Winston is absent for some stupid reason.
Yeah, that's weird, right? I don't know why they did that.
It had to be a memory thing. Listen, okay? I love Winston. Winston is the everyday man. I think his character is grossly underrated, but he's the character that always gets shafted. You notice that?
Yep.
If we got to cut out something, we cut out Winston because he joined halfway through the movie. Like he wasn't really in it for half of it. I want somebody to do a fan recreation of this game and put Winston in it because the little bobblehead graphics in this game are sick. It was at the award show. He won the Slashy for best model / actor. So yeah, I think you were kind of right, Will.
Okay. I'll take being kind of right.
Cyberball, football with robots. Kind of lame. Kind of lame. This was cool. So we got a Phantasy Star 2 guide. We're going to just skim through this. Look at this. Oh, man. Memories. I had this on my wall. Look at this map, dude. How great is this? Wouldn't you have loved to have this? Like, you gotta rip it out so carefully so you don't tear, because you gotta tape the two, right? So they're exactly lined up to have your Phantasy Star maps. So good. So good. Look at this, a step-by-step walkthrough. I love it.
It's a good game. I should play Phantasy Star again.
We never really spent too much time on this because it's Tricks of the Trade. What is this? This is this is still Tricks. Duh. Mario Brothers 3 Survival Guide. Dude, how great is this?
Something about the coloring is bugging me, though.
The image is like blown out. Yeah, like this is like rough. Phantasy Star Guide did come with a guide, yeah, but just for me, like, I'm sure you guys were the same, right? Like my bedroom, it went through two different changes. One, it was like rock stars everywhere, and then it was video games, and I couldn't have one or the other. And the same thing is in my house today. This room right here, there's not one thing in this room that's not video games. And the toys are downstairs. I've always had that separation thing. So it was like all rock stars, and then it was all video game posters. But the point is, it came with the guide, yes, but there was nothing like having that map on the wall because you could just look over. Okay, that's where I got to go. It was cool, man. It felt like video games could be more, like I took it more serious than just a game. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Right? Like you took it very seriously if you're putting maps on the wall. Anyway, we're going to go through here.
Anyway. Everybody knows Mario Brothers 3. Mario Brothers 3, arguably one of the best, if not the best Mario title, but
for sure.
We all know what Mario Brothers 3 is about.
Super high diddly 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 diddly.
Kung Fu Heroes. Look at that artwork, though. I do like the design of the Kung Fu Heroes stuff.
Culture Brain, yeah. And I think this was an old anime, too. Or an anime back in the day. It must have been. Looks like it for sure. Like, look at all these guys.
It's very Dragon Ball-esque. Like Akira Toriyama probably did like a lot of the art design. I wonder. I should look that up.
Kung Fu Heroes. New peripherals increase NES abilities. So we had two. We had the 4-player NES satellite, which I think was the wireless, and the 4-score that they bundled with. It was a football game, like 4-score football or something like that for NES, where you could play 4, which was like blew our minds back in the day. It was a terrible football game, but like you didn't hold a candle to Tecmo Bowl, but it was still pretty cool that you could do that. You ever have any of these?
I never had the multiplayer adapters, no. But there wasn't very many games that supported it, though. That was the issue, too.
Yeah, I mean, I would have never been allowed to have 4 friends over. I don't know, like, if that was the norm, but it was like, you know, I could have my buddy over, maybe another one, but to have 4 of us, like, yelling and screaming in the bedroom playing a football game, yeah, just wasn't going to happen.
Probably a bit much.
Super C, they're just telling us some of the, geez, I love how EGM laid all this stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were just so serious about video games. And I remember trying to show like my mom, like, look, video games are more than just a little game you play. Look, like they're so into it. They're telling us what all the power-ups are. She just rolled her eyes.
So get out of the way, kid.
She's like, get out of the way, kid. Go play with your little dolly games. 2-player action, heavy barrel strats. This stuff is all great. We're not going to go through all this, right? This is just...
I feel like we've been through a few of these a few times now.
These are fact files, in-depth dives. If we didn't go into the big reviews, we would go more into this. But Sega gets more support from Europe. And actually, the Master System did way better in Europe. And it continued on for way longer than it did in North America. It died pretty quick. When Genesis came out here. Turbo Champ. I've often talked about the CD-ROM and the giant box that the Turbo CD came in. I don't know why it was so big. Price tag was also huge. But this, they had a lot of anime stuff, which we didn't see. It wasn't norm like it is now in North America. So having to see a lot of games that were like this was really, really cool to me. And then they had these great anime cutscenes. Wow, it's like Robotech, man. Look at the graphics. Go play outside. Cool. Exactly.
I don't want to play outside, Mom.
Outpost Genesis. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Sega Net Game. Phantasy Star 2 on the Sega Game Net. Dude, like this is... Well, when would you say the internet really became a thing for most people?
Like 2000s? Late 90s, 2000s, right? Like, I think most people had like a dial-up modem and like were on there.
Yeah, I would say like the early message boards and things like that were like 95.
Yeah. And those like that would be like the hardcore people doing that stuff though, right?
That was the computer geeks. My computer geek friends would do all that. And again, no insult, always jealous because I never had a computer that could do anything. So, but they would be on the Star Wars messaging boards and talking about action figures. I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't have that. So, like, for Sega to have this in 1990 is pretty crazy. And I don't have no idea what Phantasy Star 2 is on the Sega Game Net. Oh, we're not at the end yet, buddy. We're not at the end yet. Hopefully, we're praying for Bishu. We are. The Golden Bishu. Game Boy Club. Let's just go skip by this a little bit. Game Boy.
Nobody cares about Game Boy.
Oh, yeah. The Lynx had Ninja Gaiden in the arcade version.
You see how they separate Gaiden still?
Well, I still say Gaiden, but yeah.
But like, even on the box, it's not separated like that, right? It's like Ninja and then Gaiden together. But every article I see, they always separate those words. I don't know why.
I wonder, like, is it a Japanese thing? I wonder, because why is the G and the D both capitalized? It's got to be like, it's got to mean something more than what we interpret it as. It has to.
Yeah, maybe.
Everyone just wants Bishu. All right, we're going. You don't want to talk about Lynx? Then fine. Okay?
Nobody cares.
We're coming to the end. All right.
Oh God.
I don't know if it's gonna be here.
Oh, high scores. Nobody cares. Okay.
Oh, I got the high score in Bad Dudes for NES. I got 10 more thousand than that. Prove it. I don't have to. Getting to the end. I don't know. I feel like Bishu.
Blablonia.
That's it.
No, Bishu. Bishu's dead.
Retro Mags. Thank you. They're the source of all our PDFs for EGM. No Bishu, but I think we did see 1 or 2 issues that didn't have Bishu, and then they came back. So there's always the possibility of its return.
Hopefully. What is going on? Are you okay? Are you having a stroke?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm here. Hang on.
Sir?
What do you got going on today? You're streaming? What are you doing?
Yeah, I'll be live at 2 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be playing some more Enshrouded, building up the community village, and probably exploring a bit more. I'm really liking that game.
And you dropped a video, yeah?
I did, yeah. So I was given a code by Merge Games to check out a title they released. It's an early access title, but it's going to have a full release soon. It's called Small Land. It's another open world survival type game. I had a lot of really fun with it. You basically play as almost like a fairy insect character, and you're really small down, and you're in like a very tiny world. And a lot of the enemies you encounter are like ants and ladybugs. I fought like hoppers, bees. It's pretty neat.
That's different. That's cool.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah, guys, make sure you check that out. That's it for me. That's it for Willie. So make sure you guys go check out Willie over on Twitch and on YouTube, I believe, still at 2:00.
Yep.
And support his stream. Check out his video, guys. Please comment on it if you like it. Give it a thumbs up. Again, it helps us. It helps the video get traction.
Yeah. So and even if you don't like it, tell me what you don't like, because I'm still learning. I haven't done a lot of video editing. This is my second video that I've done so far. So
yeah, no, they're great. Very entertaining. And I can't remember who said it, but you do have a great bassy voice. You gotta. This game is about this, and you do this and that. It's really good. Really enjoy it, buddy.
Thank you.
The rest of you guys, thank you so much for hanging out for this week. I'm off for a couple days, so I'll see you guys back Wednesday at 10:00. We're out of here, guys. Have a good day. Cheers.
Bye.